my second video. This time I will show you how to blend your foreground with your sky. In iPhotography, the primary reason for using this technique is because we're blending our tracked sky, like in this case, with the foreground that was shot either during a blue hour or with a long exposure to make it brighter. When I say track sky, what do I mean? I mean, for those who don't know, track basically is a tracker is basically a motorized equatorial mount that goes on top of your tripod and your camera is attached to it. A tracker moves your camera at the same rate the stars move through the sky. This allows us to take longer exposures using a lower ISO of your choosing. In this case, my foreground was shot at 90 seconds and my sky was tracked for 60 seconds or 1 minute. As you can see in my sky, there are no trails or trailing of the stars. They're very sharp and they have a lot of detail. Now in my foreground, it is bright because I shot it for 90 seconds. So I have my camera, my exposure open for 90 seconds. And as you can see, there's a lot of light. There's a lot of hot pixels too, but we can fix that, no problem after. Both of these images were shot at Chiricahua National Monument. It is a very dark sky park there. So I have done some basic adjustments on this photos in Lightroom, or I will do all the adjustments after I complete my photo. You don't want to do a lot before you blend. So to start our blending, I'm going to use Photoshop. So you're going to select, basically you're going to shift and click on both of your images, and then you're going to right click and go to open as layers in Photoshop. Make sure that you do not click Edit in Adobe Photoshop because it will open one image per screen in Photoshop. So we go to open as layers in Photoshop and you click. I already have them open to save time in here. Now you can see that I have my two layers in here. I have my sky on the top and my foreground on the top and my sky in behind. What we want to do to see how the image is going to blend, I usually go to opacity and reduce the opacity of my top layer, which is my foreground. If you see, they don't, basically my sky doesn't match the same horizon as my foreground. So if I put the foreground on top, it will basically cut half of the Milky Way. And that's what we want to show, right? So I'm going to bring up the opacity. So what we want to do now is basically expand the canvas. We're going to go to Image and then Canvas Size. We're going to make it bigger. My height, I am going to make it to maybe right now is 4024. I'm going to make it like 525 to make it bigger. There. Now I have my canvas a lot bigger. So now what I want to do, I just want to bring down my foreground in order to allow more room for my sky. Now I'm going to select my sky and then I will move my sky all the way to the top. Now let's select our foreground again and then reduce the opacity to see what it looks like. So now it's a little bit better, but my sky is higher than my foreground. So I am just going to move up my foreground until covers the horizon of the sky. And I think that's pretty good. So now I'm going to bring up my opacity. Now we have this right here. So That's no problem. We're going to crop this to get rid of all that empty space. Select. Okay, so that's a lot better. Let's start blending our sky. Now that we have our canvas ready, what you want to do, we want to get rid of the sky, correct? And like I said, there are many techniques or different ways to blend your foreground with your sky. This is the one that I'm going to show you. This is one that I use the most. I think this is the one that works really well. We're going to select a foreground and then come over here to your tools and you're going to select the paint brush. Make sure that you have a large brush and a hard round brush. I just made it smaller. Okay. Now we want to hide our sky, correct? We're going to create on the foreground layer, we're going to create a mask. And then we're going to hide the sky in the foreground. You may have heard this before, but for purposes of photography and in Photoshop, we always say white reveals, black conceals. So we're going to use a black brush. Now, make sure that your opacity is at 100% and your flow 100% too. So now we're just going to make sure that the mask is selected. Then you're going to start painting over it. And look how easy that is. Super easy. So as you can see over here on your mask, you are painting, you're hiding the foreground. I'm sorry, you're hiding the sky. I'm a little confused. So a couple of things here. You don't have to be perfect. Like I said, this doesn't have a lot of bushes or plants or trees, but I'll show you real quick on another one. So you don't have to be perfect because we're gonna go over this, so you can zoom in a little bit more if you want to, and then make your brush smaller, but I think this is pretty good for having this type of foreground. So this is pretty easy. I mean, I picked a really easy one, right? So just get a little close. Now I know this is right here. Don't worry about it. We'll get rid of it. Now that you have your sky masked and the sky of the foreground mask and your track sky in the back, we're going to double click on the mask. There we go. Now with the brush that is showing right here, make sure that is this refined edge brush tool. The settings that I have are radius of 1 pixel, smooth a 3, feather of 0.5. You can go bigger. Usually this works well. Contrast, I usually have it like 15 or 20%. We're gonna leave it at 15, and you can always adjust it. Shift edge, -7. You can choose color aware, object aware. Usually like to keep it at color aware. And then there is this selection right here. It's called decontaminate colors. I will unselect it and show you what it looks like with and without. Decontaminate colors, which really works really well when you have a lot of trees or other things in your foreground that you want to blend with your sky. So now we're just going to start painting over our track sky. And don't worry, you don't have to be perfect. You can run your brush over both and the software will do all the work. So look how nice it blends your sky with your foreground without having to worry about covering some or not. So real quickly, right here, the mountain, we'll go over it. So the software is doing all the work for us and it's great. I mean, I love Photoshop technology. So I'm going to get a little closer and show you what I mean about decontaminating colors. As you can see, if I unselect it, you can see a harsh line in the horizon when it blends with the foreground. So if I click decontaminate colors, look what a nice job it does. So now you don't have that harsh light. So if you didn't see it, let me show you again. A little closer. If I unselect it, you have that glow on the harsh line in the horizon. Decontaminate colors, what basically does, it blends some of your foreground with your sky a little bit more, smooths it, and makes it look that good. Okay, so pretty much is done. So I'm gonna click OK. And now I know I have this right here, and then I have this branch right here. So for now, I'm just going to show you, if imagine that wasn't there, we're just going to merge visible. So now we have our basic layer. So let me get rid of this since it's right in my face. So we're gonna select spot healing brush, Photoshop and Lightroom do a really good job with this AI technology to remove unwanted objects, and like magic, disappeared. Um, this edge right here, we can always crop to make sure that it's not showing. And then pretty much we have our photo ready. Now you can do other adjustments if you want to. From there, you can bring it back to Lightroom, and I really like working with those adjustments. Like I said, this video is not about editing my photo. This pretty much looks very good, but if you want to do extra work, you can do it in Photoshop or bring it back to Lightroom. So that's basically what I did. So if you have any questions, just drop the questions below, and let me know what you think. Thank you.